It's time once again for Gaming with Max Von Puppet. That's me! Today, we're going to look at another role-playing game, Tribe 8. It's a bit of an older game that's no longer in print, but you can still buy PDF versions of it online through sites like DriveThruRPG. And I'm sure you can still find hard copies of the rules out there if you look hard enough. Tribe 8 was brought to us in 1998 by DreamPod 9, the same people that brought us Heavy Gear and Gear Krieg. They're a Canadian publisher, and their games are pretty good. You should really check them out. Tribe 8 is a post-apocalyptic fantasy setting. What does that mean, I hear you ask? Simple. It means that it's set in some distant future time after a massive, world-shattering apocalyptic event, but the setting also features fantasy-style monsters and magic. The game has one of the most detailed settings and backgrounds I've ever seen. And all of the books have the most amazing in-world fiction and background setting materials ever. Ever. In fact, the main rulebook of the first edition has about the first half of the book taken up with this material. If you never play the game, it's still worth the price of admission just to read the fluff pieces in the front of the rulebook. The setting itself takes place in a land called Vimere. It's a large island that sits near the mouth of a mighty river. The main inhabitants of Vimere are the tribes, 7 groups of humans that, collectively, fought against and freed themselves from imprisonment and enslavement by the apocalyptic monsters known as the Zabri. The island and the surrounding territory have a variety of different land types, ranging from forests, plains, ruined cities, villages, farmlands, and the twisted nightmare lands of the Zabri themselves. There's also snow in the winter if you want to change things up. The leaders of the tribes are mysterious, magical, mechanical creatures called the Fatimas. The story goes that they were sent by the one true goddess during the time of enslavement to help free the humans, and each one leads a tribe of humans who take after her in terms of areas of specialty and general personality. In the game, you take on the role of a tribal who has been banished from his or her tribe. As an outcast, you have discovered that your link to the dream, the source of all magic, is still available to you, despite the fact that the Fatima was supposed to have cut it off from you. As such, your character belongs to a special group called the Fallen, who are fulfilling a prophecy about the coming of an 8th tribe that will lead to the final and true liberation of humanity. The game follows a very mature theme in general, especially if you're using the main metaplot adventures that DreamPod 9 published for the game. Everything from politics within the tribes, rivalries among the fallen, and sexuality are covered, and things get really dark when the Zabri are used. It's a generally dark setting with an undercurrent of hope running through all the stories, as your characters take on both the Zabri and the tribes in their attempt to bring about a better future for the whole world. The rule systems in the game is DreamPod 9's own silhouette system. It only ever uses standard 6-sided dice. Your character's level in a particular skill determines how many dice you roll, and attributes will modify the dice roll. Dice are not added together. Instead, the highest die is used and compared to a target number to determine success. The difference between the target and the die total is called the margin of success, or failure in some cases. It's a pretty simple mechanic that allows for a lot of complexity as needed, and always includes a chance for failure, no matter how skilled you are at a thing. Character creation in Tribe 8 is pretty cool, and only has you roll dice after doing a lot of background generation for your character. This is a game where the story is the king, and the rules take a back seat. As such, the stats and skills of a character are purchased with a point-buy system rather than a random die roll. In the end, you have a pretty well-developed character that is more than just a collection of numbers on a sheet, but that has a connection to the setting, including a reason that he or she was banished from her tribe to begin with. Magic is probably the most complex mechanic in this whole system, and is intentionally kept open-ended rather than having specific spells to allow players to have more say in what they do. Magic in this game is called synthesis, and is related to a character's eminences, which are derived from the character's tribe of origin and their outlook among the fallen. You can do all kinds of stuff as long as you can justify what you're doing falls within your eminences. Now, as I said before, it's a pretty story-driven system, but that is not to say that combat is absent. Far from it. Tribe 8 still is an action game, where the heroes fight against not only nightmarish and demonic monsters, but also fellow humans from their former tribes. So the combat rules take the basic rules I stated earlier and add some complexity to them to simulate the chaos of a fight. They include ranged combat, melee combat, weapons, fighting without weapons, and all kinds of cool stuff. As this is a classless system, character advancement is done by spending gained experience points on improving skills or attributes. If there's one place I'd say the rules have a weakness, it's in the area of new characters and their skills. As new, inexperienced characters, there are going to be a lot of areas that they will be what the game calls unskilled, and it will make it difficult for them to do things that the story may require, such as climbing over a fence or hiding from a monster that is sniffing them out in the forest. It can result in a lot of failures as the players learn what skills are really important to their characters. That said, it's a pretty minor quibble, all things considered. I haven't played a whole ton of this game as opposed to D&D, but I have played enough to know that it's one of my favorite games ever. The system takes a little getting used to, but once you know it, it's smooth and flexible and allows the game master to make up rulings on the fly pretty easy. The meta plot story is, in my opinion, completely awesome and allows your characters to feel like they are participating in some pretty world-shattering events. And most importantly, every time I've played it, I've had a lot of fun. It's a great game and I highly recommend it. It's unique, quirky, and just damn intriguing. And as long as your group can handle the more mature themes, it's a total blast. If you've played this game, let me know what your opinions are in the comments. If you'd like to recommend another awesome RPG I should talk about here, also let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and click on that subscribe button. Until next time, keep playing games. Bye!